everybody. It's Georgia Rose, and I am in the Zenkuda Soul Space. It must be Monday night at 7 o'clock because I'm here every week watching all of you watching me. So if you would be so kind as to share the show, I'm going to be sharing the show right now and copying the link so that I can put it on all my feeds. And I would love it if you guys do the same. You actually have two ways to watch me. You can watch me on StrongIslandTelevision.com, and you can also watch me on their YouTube channel, Strong Island Television. And then after today's show, I always take the recording and I put it on my own YouTube site, which is zenkuda.com. So you can definitely have no problem finding me. All right. And also those shows are banked. If you ever want to go back and see a show from months ago, that's on my YouTube channel, and you can always go there. So, and if you find that difficult or you don't want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, although I highly recommend it, you can also go on my website, zenkuda.com, and you will find me there. And all of my podcasts are on there, as well as some other videos, but most of my other videos are on YouTube. So how's everybody doing this week? I brought my trusty glasses. Last week I had trouble reading the comments, so this week I won't. I'll be able to see all of your comments. It was a little confusing last week because some people were commenting on YouTube and some people were commenting on social media, but I think I have it down now. I'm not exactly sure, but I think I do. So we'll have to see. And I really want to thank all of you in advance who have been sharing the show and doing that for me. It's really been increasing our viewership, and you guys know that this is my passion project, and I'm here to enlighten people and really want to reach as many people as we can. So I got astrology for you tonight. If we have time, I'm going to be going to the cards, and I'll do a reading for each sign for the month of March. And I got to tell you, I spent a good amount of time this weekend looking over the astrology for March, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we don't even have that many transits or anything. It's just that we have a lot of retrogrades and a lot of planets going direct and a lot of planets changing signs. So that makes the energy really heightened. So it's going to feel in March like we are moving forward and then moving back and moving forward and then moving back. Because unfortunately, as some planets are going retrograde, which means they're slowing down, other planets are finishing their retrograde and speeding up. And sometimes those planets are actually passing each other like this, especially Venus and Mars and Venus and Neptune. So there's a lot going on with that. So it's going to feel like we can't get out of our own way sometimes. And I know we've been feeling like that for a while, but it's a little different this month because it's all about doing super deep work. So we'll talk about that. But let me just say what's going on exactly today. And hey, Aaron. Aaron's in the house. If you're in the house, just say hey. So we're starting off the month with actually Mercury was right against the North Node on the 1st of March a few days ago. And that brought a lot of things into our awareness that we want to change. It probably brought a lot of things into our awareness that need to be let go of or dissolve because Neptune and the North Node are in Pisces. And Pisces is that energy that dissolves things and decays things and kind of like has things not breaking apart like the planet Uranus does and Aquarian energy does, but fraying things and bringing things to their expiration dates so that we become aware of what we need to release in our life. So this weekend, you may have had some awarenesses or some revelations about that. And now yesterday, Venus went retrograde. Venus going retrograde is a big deal usually, but it's a super big deal this time around because it's going to move back into Pisces. It's in Aries now, and it's going to move back into Pisces. And when it does that, it's going to have us revisiting a lot of things that happened in December, in January. It's doing that so that we can finish up and tie up those loose ends. Venus energy is a planet of our values. I know we think of that as the planet of love. Hi, Trisha. We think we're going to have coffee tomorrow. I think of Venus as the planet of love. And if you read pop culture, it's like, oh, Venus is the planet of love and all about relationships. But Venus is more than that. Venus is actually the things that we value and what's valuable to us. If you think about it, we form relationships based on our values, right? So Venus is the planet of what we desire, what's meaningful to us. It's not just love and relationships. It's those relationships that are built on the things that we value and the things that are meaningful. It's almost like our love language. And Mars is the planet that is the action of that love language. So we have Mars just coming off a retrograde and Venus going retrograde. So that's why relationships are going to be a little funky right now, and you're going to feel like you keep revisiting the same round robins and the same type of repeat patterns. But it's really deep work because in Pisces, those repeats are going to be making us have awarenesses of where we need to leave certain patterns behind and where we need to establish new patterns, which is what Pluto in Aquarius is showing us all for the next 20 years. So really was a very heady last couple of days, but you're going to find that that will last and be feeling on and off throughout this month as Mars keeps going forward. Venus is now going to go into its retrograde period. And then we have some other retrogrades that are going to come up. We have a big pileup of planets in Pisces. The Sun is in Pisces, Saturn is in Pisces, the North Node, Mercury, and Neptune. So basically, a lot of outer planets which govern the consensus, the globe, it's like community energy, is really in play right now. But it's also in play in the microcosm of our life in a way of what I just described, where Pisces has been coming in for a long time because there's been planets, like Saturn's been there quite a while. So it's been showing us what is decayed, what's expired, what we need to just kind of kick to the curb. But it's not easy to do that because when things dissolve, and especially in the energy of Pisces, which can be overwhelming, it's like a flooding in of things dissolving and almost like a feeling of loss or a little bit of grief, which we have to give ourselves patience for. In Pisces, it can feel not only overwhelming, but it can make us feel unbound, like we suddenly have no boundary. And boundaries are really going to be tested in this energy. So just, keep that in mind because I today even had a little dust up with a friend of mine, nothing serious, but it's a really great friendship. But I went to set a boundary and the person got defensive, rightly so, because I could have delivered it a little bit differently. But that's the kind of energy we're in right now. With Mercury in play, it's our words. And we're going to be defensive with the moon, with Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer makes us want to defend the homeland. You saw that play out in real time last week with Donald Trump and Vance and Zelensky. It makes us very defensive, and it makes us that way in kind of like a little bit assertive or aggressive way. And then you have this Venus energy, which is retrograde and making us introspective about what we really value. And then all those Pisces planets are making us reorder, redefine, and revisit our borders and our boundaries. So it's an energy this next month or so where people, yourselves, myself, everyone's going to be wanting to reset boundaries that we've been made aware of that need to change. Or it could even be, like in my case, being made aware of boundaries that I did not put in place in my life and should have. And I kind of took a lot of things on the chin and let things ride and let things go and, oh, it's okay. And I shouldn't have done that. So now I'm setting those boundaries. And boy, people don't like it when you change that way, do they? I'd love to hear your stories about that because it's like when someone who's usually pretty, slack and easygoing suddenly puts a lot of boundaries in place, boy, the universe gets a little wonky for a while. So that's kind of the energy now, and you'll see that playing out in the month ahead. I'm going to really dive into the week ahead and then just do a little general, and then as the month progresses, we'll do a week at a time. So we've got a lot of slow-moving planets right now because Uranus is slow because that's just coming off a retrograde. Mars is slow because that's just coming off a retrograde. Then we've got Saturn slowing down. Saturn's in Pisces. Saturn doesn't like to be in Pisces because Saturn is the authority. It's the structure and the framework, and Pisces likes to dissolve that. And Saturn will be headed for Aries shortly. Mercury goes retrograde this month, and Venus is now retrograde. And then Jupiter is also coming off a retrograde. So what's happening is a lot of the planets that normally would be moving at what feels like to us a normal speed are not. So a lot of the transits that are in place this month, they stay in place for a really long time. Like we have planets that would normally, like Mars, normally move through half a sign in a month, which is about 15 to 17 degrees. It barely moves 2 degrees in the zodiac this month. So the energy is really staying in place. And I believe it's doing that so that we do our work. I believe it's doing that so that we really, these awarenesses that we're being made to look at, and these reprioritizations, these reorganization patterns, they're really staying in place so that we have to sit and do the work because we've got some really intense energy coming up, which is going to bring us into action. So this next little while is really about the introspection, thinking a lot about the past, thinking a lot about what things that we want to change moving forward. And then later in the month and when we get into more spring energy and after the equinox is when we put the action in place. So we've got Mercury and in Pisces conjuncting the North Node. That was this weekend, along with Venus going retrograde. That's going to give us an eye for, especially in the area of relationships and our values, it's going to give us an eye on how do we really want those to look like in the future? Because the North Node is really the compass point pointing to that direction. Jupiter and Saturn are only moving about 4 degrees this month, so we're not getting that super heightened clarity that we would normally get. You know, with all these planets in Pisces, it's cloudy and it's murky, and we're like kind of swimming around in the deep blue sea, you know. Just reading my notes. Pluto even only moves 1 degree this month. So there's a paradox going on. We have these slow-moving planets and only a few transits, but we have a lot of conjunctions. And conjunctions are when planets are together. And when planets are together, it amplifies their energy. So I'm going to go through those with you. That pile up of planets in Pisces is amplifying all that Pisces energy. The sun is in Pisces. What does that mean? It means that our vitality can be a little bit less. We might feel a little bit more like resting, or we may not feel the vitality that we normally do, because when the sun is in Pisces, it's floaty. It loses some of its strength. Saturn is in Pisces. What is Saturn? Saturn is the structure, the framework. It's our conditioning. It's also the framework and the strategies that we use in our life to bring boundaries to things so that we can build them, right? You can't build a building without walls. Saturn is the structure, the containers that we live our lives in. So when Saturn is in a planet, in a sign that likes to dissolve things, we can't find the structure to build. We can't find the framework to rebuild, even though all of these things are coming into our awareness and our minds and our hearts that we want to change and we want to restructure. The building blocks aren't there yet. The North Node can also be murky. We're getting these awarenesses. We're getting these like arrows pointing us like, here, get off this exit. But the road isn't paved and we can't find the trail, you know. And then we have Mercury in Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is an energy where we can't find our words and our thoughts are a little bit scattered. Our process of mental acuity is a little bit flooding in. It's like we're flooding, the water's flooding in on it. We're overwhelmed with it sometimes. And Neptune in Pisces, that's its home sign. Neptune is connection, but it's magic and it's mystical and it's romantical, but that can lead to magical thinking. Great time for meditation and to learn tarot and to do Reiki and to be in the mystical world. Your intuition will be heightened, but at the same time, when we're not grounded in the structure of Saturn and the framework, that's watery now. It's not strong. So what happens is that mental acuity and the structure that we would use to ground our intuition isn't there. So we can really be in magical thinking or rose-colored glasses. And that's the energy. And as the month progresses and Venus goes retrograde, which it already has, we have 2 eclipses coming in. And I'm going to give a brief synopsis of this because they happen next Monday. I'm going to do the show all about the eclipses. But we're in eclipse season right now. Eclipse season, when eclipses happen, they last about anywhere from 6 to 18 months for us, usually around 5 to 6 months intense. Eclipses come in to show us light and dark. Eclipses come in to show us, again, what's expired, what no longer works, to be released. That's what usually happens on a lunar eclipse. And then when we have the solar eclipse following it, that's when clarity comes. The lunar eclipse is for releasing. The solar eclipse is usually clarity. So we also have something really big happening where Neptune is changing signs. Neptune in Pisces, that watery, flooding in, overwhelm, can't really find the road, is going into Aries this month. And when Neptune goes into Aries, that is a total game changer. Neptune hasn't been in Aries for 165 years. Neptune spends 14 years in a sign. It has been in Pisces for 14 years. If you do the math, for me, that's 2011. 2011 was when my whole life blew up. So, you know, now all the energy that's from that and all the tidying up and all the restructuring from that is at a culmination point, and I'm going to be in a completely new phase, as everybody is from whatever was going on for you in 2011. So that's a huge thing. It's a major energy that is really going to now go into renewal, where it's been in the decay process, it's been in the dissolution process, it's made us disillusioned. Now when it goes into Aries, we're going to start to feel the clarity and the renewal that we've been craving. So when Neptune goes into that 0 point of Aries, which is on March 30th, all the way at the end of the month, so prepare for that. Clean up the stuff. Try and do things that'll make you more clear. And so that 0 point of Aries, where it hasn't been for 165 years, is a new beginning. That's where the spring equinox comes, the first day of spring. Whenever a planet hits 0 Aries, that's a completely new cycle for in the zodiac. That's like the starting point of the planets. So when Neptune goes into Aries, it's going to be there for a little while, and then in a few months, it too goes retrograde and goes back into Pisces, so we can finish up anything that's lingering from the last 14 years. But it'll go in there very briefly. So this is really the time now, until March 30th, to clear up all that stuff so that when Neptune goes into Aries, you're ready for the ignition. Energy in Aries is new energy emerging. It's birth. It's rebirth. It's like the egg hatches. That is the best way I can describe Aries energy. So these are all ending cycles. Saturn, when it goes into Aries, is ending a 30-year cycle. And the sun is going to make its annual pass into 0 degrees Aries on March 20th. So we have all this Pisces energy going into Aries, which means complete renewal and rebirth, the end of some very long cycles. Saturn hasn't been in Aries for 30 years. Neptune, 165 years. And of course, the sun, 1 full year. So all of that energy starts to stir things up. And then on March 13th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo at 9 degrees. So look in your charts, guys. You can get a free chart on astro.com or cafeastrology.com or any one of the sites online. You put in your birth date with the time and place. They give you a chart. If you need a reading from me, go on to zenkuda.com. We can do a reading for you. Usually when I start a relationship with readings with people, they come every 6 months or so, and we keep doing their progressions and their transits. It's a great way to have guidance in your life. So when that eclipse happens on March 13th, and I know it's a few days away, it's 10 days away, but I want you guys to start preparing, because that eclipse also has the planet Uranus involved, and Uranus is the sudden, shocking things that happen. Can be good, can be bad. But when Uranus comes into play with this lunar eclipse in Aries, we've just got planets that are now either just going in or getting ready to go to Aries. This is it's like a snap. It's like a snap, crackle, pop. It's like, oh, that just happened. So prepare for that, because it's going to be related to whatever has been going on for you in the last 5-6 weeks that's been coming into your awareness. If that's boundaries, something you want to change, something in a relationship. Aries Libra axis is all about relationships. So with the planets headed for Aries, it's going to be a lot of things happening in relationships. The Virgo energy comes in to show us, sometimes through loss, that we really are competent and that we really can sustain things without certain attachments and become more powerful without attachments. So really in this next couple of weeks and in the month of March, think about what has come into your awareness that's been an unhealthy attachment that's actually been disempowering you instead of empowering you. And although you may go through loss or a disillusionment or a bit of grief in allowing yourself to let it go and release it, in the long run, will this make you more powerful? Because that's what this whole energy is about. We're coming into a time in the world and in humanity where we are birthing new humans. We are all getting an opportunity in the next year. Especially 2025 is like the school. This is like our Earth school, big time in 2025, because 2026 is the ignition. So we're all getting this great opportunity to step into the best versions of ourselves that we possibly can. And that's why I named the show Soul Space, because the more we connect with that soul space within us, the more powerful we are. And the answer for all this stuff, like if anything I'm saying kind of triggers you or makes you feel a little nervous, maybe I have to lose something, or maybe I have to give up something, or maybe I really need to, have this emotional responsibility and maturity to move forward with something I've been hesitating about. If you feel triggered by any of that, that's a really good indication that the universe is trying to bring you into the best person you can possibly be and into your full soul potential. And the only way we can do that is not by buying something new or going into a relationship or relocating ourselves. It is by stepping into our inner wisdom, our inner power, and our true soul space to build up our inner strength. Because the world is going to get really chaotic in this energy. The rest of 2025 is going to be a you-know-what show. But we don't have to be entangled in it. And if we can have our own place to be in it, then we're going to be fine, because we're going to be able to navigate all these things and be able to look at them and say, oh, that just happened. I'm going to go over here now and go to yoga or meditate, or I'm going to go help somebody or volunteer here, or I'm going to go, spend quality time with my children, my spouse, my mother, my father. That's really the antidote for this energy, because it's all about going within, going into the awareness of what we have to change, but being brave enough to do it by finding that power within, like really pulling ourselves up from our bootstraps. The first eclipse that we have on March 14th in Virgo is going to be a very powerful eclipse, because that eclipse is, I don't even know the words to describe it. I'm looking at my notes to try and ground myself, because it happens at 22 to 23 degrees of Virgo, which is right on my Venus. I'm expecting something. But it's also, the moon and the sun are talking to Uranus, which is like a sudden shocking thing. My intuition tells me the sudden shocking things, while they may be a little difficult, they're probably not going to be too gentle. My intuition tells me that depending on where this is in your chart, it's just going to be something that has to happen. Like something that has to happen in order to bring us to our next level. And I've had many of those things happen in my life, and it's usually been pretty good. This is an energy, I'm going to just sum it up really succinctly. This is an energy of confrontation with reality. It's like authority or something comes in as Saturn is heading into Aries. It's going to have its framework back and its authority back. And something comes into our life and really says, no, you're not doing it that way. You're going to do it this way. And in the long run, it's better for our soul, but it's a little difficult for our ego. This is confrontation with reality. It's a tug of war where the rope snaps. I want it this way. 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 Bump. It just snaps in half. Remember, the planets are not moving fast. So this is an energy that kind of stays with us now. It's a tug of war between a conflict and authority. You're starting to see this really play out on the world stage in a big way. Mars is now moving direct. It's going to square Chiron, which feels like our feelings and our fears are getting touched on. It's like poking the wound. And when some people get their wound poked, what do? They poke the bear, right? You want to get rid of the feeling. You want to throw it off yourself and put it on someone else. It's a feeling of we can't quite get what we want because we still have all that Pisces energy in play, dissolving everything and making it murky. So now we have a couple of planets in Aries and we're like, we want to move forward and we want this thing and the engine's revving and the car's at the curb, but we can't get it and drive just yet. And boy, are we pissed off about it. And that's the energy. And so it's very interesting full moon. It's a moon where there's going to be a lot of sudden breakthroughs because Uranus is the planet that awakens us. And we're already having all these awakenings. So when this happens, it's going to be breakthroughs. I will tell you that it's going to have to do with not keeping the status quo. It's going to move you out of the rut. It's going to move you out of the thing that you keep doing that you really shouldn't be doing, but you're doing it anyway. It's warm and cozy, blah, blah, blah. And then right on the heels of that March 14th eclipse, full moon in Virgo, Mercury goes retrograde. So whatever we were planning, we got to redo. So I feel like we have awakenings and new beginnings from that first eclipse, but we don't really know exactly how it's going to go yet. We can't, again, find the path. And then Mercury goes retrograde and makes us go back to the drawing board and back to the awakening and back to the, oh, crap, I just realized I've been doing this my whole life and I need to stop. And then until we hit April when Mercury goes direct and some other planets now are going direct, and we have that other eclipse, which is going to give us the clarity, which happens, I think, on the 27th, I want to say. Um, that next eclipse kind of puts it all together for us. But we're going to almost feel, it's almost going to feel like almost like a suspended animation. Like we've got these awarenesses and we're really smart and we want to do these things with them. And we have all these things that are coming into our soul space. And we're like, yeah, I want to do this. But we can't quite get there yet. So it's really like a planning stage. And, you know, this is how the month's going to go, because as Venus is going retrograde, Mars is going direct, and then we have other planets getting ready to go retrograde. So it's like things keep going like this and just kind of missing each other. And oh, we didn't hit yet. We didn't, like ships passing in the night. So there's tension, there's confrontation. But the good news is, like right around that time on March 15th, when Mercury goes retrograde, we can feel like we're spinning our wheels, but at the same time, if we go into that quiet introspection in the soul space that we have within us, the awarenesses don't go away. Once we have those awarenesses, we have that wisdom, we can bring it forward. It's not a sprint, you know. I would journal, I would write things down, even if you don't like to write, voice record some you know, hits that you're going to get. You know, you're going to get these quick, electrifying, like psychic hits of things, and those are where the treasures are. So I would just remember when Mercury goes retrograde right on the heels of that eclipse, the one thing I will say is for that time period between the middle of the month, really watch your words, because it's going to be a time when we're going to want to express, but it's not the time yet. We're really not ready to. We're still not letting go of the fear, of the defensiveness. We need to be in the new way before we get to do the expression of our feelings. The eclipse energy continues for a long time. After the eclipse, the sun starts conjuncting the North Node. The sun hits Neptune, because don't forget, when the sun starts going from Pisces into Aries, it's going to hit all those planets at the end of Pisces. So it starts to be endings and beginnings, endings and beginnings. Anxiety about the ending, optimism about the beginning. Oh, wait, I feel scared about the ending again. Oh, wait, I feel optimistic about the beginning again. And that's kind of how it goes. And that's why the only resolution is to go into that beautiful soul space of meditation, of quietude. My favorite word, you guys know, is quietude. It's really deep stuff. I mean, March is a really deep month. It's a back and forth movement. It's a movement of going really deep, reordering our values, reordering our priorities. Something is ending, something is beginning. We go deeper with it. And then towards the end of the month, when we have that March 29th Aries new moon, solar eclipse at 9 degrees Aries, then all of a sudden the energy feels more renewed, more vitality. We're not quite there yet. We got a lot of stuff going on till the end of the year, and we also have that Mars squaring Chiron playing all month long, which is stirring up the wound. You know, so we're really going back and forth in these energies, and we'll be in this until the summertime, but they'll be more subtle of, like I said, releasing, letting go. Oh, no, I let it go. And then being, no, that was good. That was good. Oh, wait, I don't really want to let that go. Oh, but yeah, it's going to be like that, you know? And then finding our ground and finding the beautiful path ahead of us after all this releasing, and this like perfect storm almost is what it is. These planets are in almost like a perfect storm. And one of the things I think about so often is that we were all chosen to be born during this time, to witness this and be in this energy and be able to connect in it. And it's also perfect, this storm that we're in, because the energies wouldn't feel like this if we didn't have things like what I'm doing now and the technology, and Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring us even more of that, and Jupiter in Gemini, and when Uranus goes into Gemini, it's going to just be off the charts with that kind of stuff. And I have a community that I'm in all the time with people from all over the world, and we meet weekly, and I have some beautiful friends from that, and we're planning to all meet up one day, and we're from the four corners of the earth, believe me. And how were we born in this time, at this perfect setup of planets, to create an awareness and a transformation? We're all going through this huge metamorphosis. And we get to do it with technology and spiritual awareness. And it's just such an amazing time to be alive. Sometimes when I sit on my mat and I'm doing my yoga or I'm meditating and I think about that, I just cry because it's so absolutely beautiful and joyful for me to have discovered that place, and a place where you can go anytime and have access to, and it's just such a calming, beautiful place. So I'm going to read some comments. If anybody has them, put them down in there. Aaron says he really doesn't like Pisces. I don't know. A lot of people don't like Pisces energy, but I have to tell you that's because we're in the floaty part of it. The beauty of Pisces energy, Aaron, is that the connection, the magical thinking can be overly much, but it can also, how beautiful is it? If we didn't have Pisces energy, we wouldn't have like Disneyland and dream time and connection with spirit and be able to have psychic intuition and, go into other realms. Like tomorrow I'm doing a mediumship reading for somebody, and it's just how beautiful it is to go into those other realms and be able to float around a little bit with souls. And so you have to learn to like Pisces energy that way, because that's the really beautiful side of it. And Pisces, once they are developed in their emotional maturity and spiritual gifts, Pisces energy is a very deep wisdom. So that's a beautiful thing. So I'm just going to say hi to Christine. How are you doing? I hope you're doing okay, Christina. Jim, I'm not sure who that is, but welcome. Sarah is here. Sarah is one of my very faithful watchers. Thank you so much for supporting my work always, Sarah. And I don't know, I got to look on my Facebook page too, because I might have people on there and some comments. Going to look. So what I think sometimes also is we oftentimes in an energy like this, because it can be very overwhelming, we have a tendency to think on the negative side. And I got to tell you, don't do that, because there's a lot of really positive energy in here as well. A lot of energy that not only can take us somewhere into a new way and a new form of life, but that's really what the universe wants for us. So I am going to go to cards, and I'm going to do a really quick, the elements for you guys. I'm going to do really quickly. Like first up, I'm going to do some air signs. These are Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. We're going to pull some cards for you. So I'm going to go to the table, Carmine. Got my thing here. All right. And if anybody wants to call into the show, we can put that number up on the screen too. Okay. I'm the world's worst shuffler. I always say I'm not going to get a job in Vegas anytime soon. That is Foa Showa. My air signs: Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Tarot cards for you tonight. We got the Judgment card, which is not about judgment, right? That's one of my goals this year, is no judgment and setting boundaries. No easy task. Okay, beautiful cards for you. So the Judgment card in Tarot, guys, for my air signs here, Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. This fits so much because I'm an air sign, and like this is so much like what I'm going through. So hey, Cheryl, how are you doing tonight? So Judgment is a rebirth. The Judgment card in Tarot is all about rebirth. It's about, if you look at the card, if you can see it on the camera, you see like new infants coming out of the grave, being reborn. You've got the Archangel Gabriel in the card and his beautiful wingspan coming down to give messages. This is really an appropriate card with what I was just talking about spirit coming in, the universe, the planets, the energy of the world coming in to give us the awarenesses, the messages of what we need in order to be rebirth and what we need to move away from. And then this card is the beautiful Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is a card of quiet repose. It's a card where you have a knight laying on almost what looks like a coffin or a sarcophagus, and the swords are above him. This is a card showing that we are giving up, we are surrendering to the divine and going into a quiet state of repose so that we can hear the voice of the messages that Archangel Gabriel is giving us. And in quiet, we can only hear that. No good idea or no good plan was ever formed in chaos. You need quiet to do that. And then this third card once again brings in Archangel Gabriel in between two people actually getting married. They're sharing cups. This is the Two of Cups. It's the soulmate card. And I'm going to go out on a limb here for my air signs and say, as much as we would all love to have this be a soulful, romantic relationship, I'm very lucky. I've been in one for a long time with myself. um, this is really about that relationship we establish with ourselves. And as you can see, the what do they call it? The cartouche is also in here with the angel wings. And that is the medicine. It's about, I do evolutionary astrology. I think of that as the medicine. And so this is all about, I'm going to sum it up for you guys. Air signs Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. This is about rebirth, hearing the messages that come from the divine, going into quiet repose, developing that soul space and that relationship with yourself where you develop agency so you can hear those messages. And then developing that relationship, almost like a covenant with yourself, that you are the strongest inner voice in your life, that your inner strength comes from you, and that no matter what happens in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, you're sharing it with yourself and allowing yourself to actually be part and including yourself in your own life. So that's my air signs. And the final card for air signs that will confirm this reading is this beautiful card that is the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles is a card that's showing you to go to the light. You have these two figures in a storm walking through the snow in detriment. But if they look up, they would have beautiful refuge and restoration and renewal if they just went inside where the light is. So it's telling you to go within for your light. And that's the reading of the air signs. Next up, I'm going to do water. My water signs are Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. Pisces is the star these days. Happy birthday to all of our Pisces birthdays. And if your birthday is near that new moon eclipse or full moon eclipse, you've got a good year coming because eclipses sweep the deck clean and give you all new things. Okay, for my water signs. Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Just looking at comments. Ooh, I shuffled them and we got the same card. Go within for the light. See, you're not in detriment. Things are not as bad as they seem. Don't make mountain out of molehills, my Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpios. Go with the flow, surrender. The more we resist, the more we suffer. So definitely seek the light. Go within, go within. If you have a refuge, if there's a place that you like to go for quietude, go. Wow, we've got all pentacles in this reading. This is the Ace of Pentacles. This hard work pays off. Could be hard work as in the three-dimensional world with a job or something like that. But it also, next to a card like this, means your spirit work, your soul work, your work from within, your emotional maturity, your spiritual maturity, your spiritual development, that pays off as hard work. Next card is the Ace of Wands. Love this card in this spread. You've got go with the light within, hard work pays off, and then this beautiful Ace of Wands. Wands in the tarot are action, and aces are new beginnings. And if you look at this beautiful Ace of Wands, you have all this new growth and leaves on the wand, which means new renewal, new things coming in. So don't feel like you're at the state of overwhelm or the state of grief. Allow yourself to have that, but know that new things are coming in and your hard work will pay off. Whatever you're trying to release is definitely in the cards for you to release, no pun intended. And then to confirm the reading for my water signs, you've got the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is balance. It means that you're going within and your hard work is going to pay off because it's going to bring you to a place of balance as long as you really tap into that soul space and allow the renewal to come. So surrender everything, do the hard work within, and allow that renewal to bless you. Next up, I'm going to do my earth signs. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. I'm going to try and shuffle a little more. My fingers are just a little chapped because I've been out walking and hiking. You see me shuffle these. I'm really, really shuffling. Everybody's shuffling. Okay. So for my earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Ooh, we've got the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands, when he comes in, and I always look at the direction the horses are going in my spread. I know that's kind of funny, but that's what I do. I read psychically, not literally. So when knights come into the tarot, it's all about messages, but action, like not a message from beyond or above. It's a message in life. It's like in the three-dimensional world, you're going to receive some news. News is coming. It's like the courier of news. And the Knight of Wands brings news of action. Wands are action in the tarot. And the fact that he's riding towards us instead of away from us, right? Oh, I'm sorry, he's riding away from us. I was looking at it on camera. He's riding away from us means that something from the past is being shed. All right? So for my earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, you're shedding the past. And you're going to get some kind of a message that confirms that. That's like, okay, you've shed your past, but we're showing you that we're confirming that that was a good thing. Next card up is the Page of Pentacles. Man, we've got a lot of pentacles coming up tonight, which is really all about abundance in our lives. So the Page of Pentacles comes in, and this is a new message. When pages come in, it's also a messaging. Knights bring the action, and pages bring the words. So the written, the writing. So the Page of Pentacles means you're going to get good news, something to do with abundance. It could be money. It could be an inheritance. It could be a job offer. Something is going to change that brings abundance to your life, and you're going to learn about it through a written or spoken word. And then more pentacles. This is like everything paying off. The Ten of Pentacles is like a very divine card for abundance and things being flooding in. So for my earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, that full moon eclipse is in Virgo this month. So this could mean some benevolence really coming your way. This card especially is also about family. It could be benevolence in abundance in relationships as well. This card is a very nostalgic card. So if you've been trying to release something or let go of something and you've been on the fence, or you've been like, okay, I got to let it go, but now I'm scared to let it go, but I got to let it go, but I'm scared. Oh, wait, I just did it and I have anxiety. These cards are confirming for me that the abundance is coming because of the release, because I've got this Knight of Wands that's riding away from you. And then the Hermit card. So the Hermit holds up the light. The Hermit, again, a going within card, going within for soul space. The Hermit, you know, he goes home and he holds up the light in his house and he says, okay, this is what I need to look at so I can find home within. And so that's the spread for the earth signs. So definitely let whatever is being difficult for you to release, let yourself release it, because the abundance is on the other side of that. And then the last is my fire signs. We've got Sag and Aries and Leo. Aries, you're going to have a lot of activity in your sign right now. I know Aaron's got Aries in his chart. I'm going to be doing a reading for Aaron on Saturday. Aaron's from Texas. We're doing that on Zoom. Aaron, I got to tell you, I think this is going to release a lot of energy, and I also think you have to realize that we're ending a lot of cycles. So you are definitely going to be having a lot of renewal in this energy that's coming in. You might have a lot of releases, you know, for a little while, and then you're going to have a lot of, like, everything's going to feel kind of new for you. Just going to shuffle these a little more. Okay. Going into my fire signs. That is Sag and Leo and Aries. So the first card we get is the Lovers. So the Lovers card is not, you know, it can be lovers, like, you know, typically speaking. It can be the lovers, and it can be that, you know, a relationship, classically, you know, a lover relationship. But it's really about interference in a love relationship. When the Lovers card comes in, if you ever really look at this card in tarot, and if you can't see it clear on screen, you can go on the internet. Lovers card in tarot means interference in a relationship. It's kind of like the meddling mother-in-law, some people call it, but it's really divine intervention. So if there's a relationship that you're releasing or letting go of, this is the card that usually comes up. Or if there's someone cheating or a third party in a relationship, this card will come up. Intuitively, this card is coming up right now for my fire signs because it's showing you to release patterns in relationships. It's coming in to interfere in the relationships that you've already developed that are unhealthy, to show you patterns in healthy relationships. Because when you look at the card, and I'm seeing this and I'm seeing it psychically, you've got this energy coming through where there's interference in this mountain in between the lovers, but you've got all this energy coming down from this beautiful golden light, almost looks like a sun, and this figure. This is showing us in this energy, in with where the planets are, to release old patterns in relationships and begin new ones. The next card I got, and it's in reverse, is the Magician. The Magician card is the Pisces card. Why? Because nothing's impossible with Pisces, because it has no boundaries. It's just will go on forever and ever and ever. That's why, you know, Saturn holds Pisces in, and we have framework, because Neptune answers to Saturn, because Neptune would just keep drifting out into space. So this card is the card of Pisces energy. It's in reverse because Pisces energy is waning for us. And what it's showing us is that the patterns we've had over the last 14 years while the planets were in Pisces for my fire signs, those patterns no longer work for you. If you try to go back to them, they're not even going to feel right. It's going to almost be like you can't do it. I'm having some of that going on in my own life where I'm developing new patterns in relationships. And, when I get nervous and scared and have anxiety and want to go back to the old way, I really can't, because that makes me nervous and anxious too. Like the old way just doesn't feel right anymore. And that's this energy. It's like we have to move forward because we know the path is there somewhere. We haven't found it to be, gelled up and firmed up yet, but the old way is no longer. And so we're in this in-between time. And so the next card that I got was the Six of Wands, which is the action card. Now the horse is riding into the opposite direction as the last spread that we had. This is now riding into the future. It's Wands, which is action. So even though this is tough to do and it's hard to change patterns in relationships, my beautiful fire signs do it because you're going to have some really great things coming to you. Action and good action coming to you. Next card is the Queen of Cups, which means you master your emotions. Queen of Cups is on the throne because she's in control. She doesn't feel overwhelmed. She doesn't feel out of control. She's got it all going on. She knows exactly what's going on. She's got beautiful flowers at her feet, which is new growth. She's done the work. She has the emotional maturity. So for my fire signs, you might have a little bit of difficulty now. You're repatterning and reorganizing your patterns, but before long, all that beautiful abundance is going to be in your life, and you're going to be working with that and developing that more and more as this decade goes through. So that is the soul space for tonight. You can book a reading with me directly online. There's even a scheduling service that does it for you at zenkuda.com. And if you want a mediumship reading or a astrology reading, you can go there. I love using astrology to help people guide each other. I've done readings with a lot of you who are watching now. And I also do astrology for business readings where we can take you and your staff or the people that you work with and look at all their charts, and I can tell you exactly how the peak productivity and what each person should be doing in your team. So thank you so much for watching today. You can find me on Zenkuda Official on Instagram, Zenkuda Soul Space on Facebook, and Zenkuda on YouTube. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and I can't wait to see you guys next Monday night where we're going to be talking all about those eclipses in detail. Remember, eclipses are beginnings and endings, so you want to see that show. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.